Hi, this is Christelle Martinette, and I'm here with a scrying session for you. And what I'm going to do is take a few cards first before I start. And this reading, this session, this scrying session and reading it will be valid from the 28th, Monday, till the 3rd Sunday, June next. Very difficult period. Trying passion. I mean, passion. Passion's knocking at the door. This is something that we are. Right now, I have three cards that fell out, and I'm going to take them. This is the Eight of Swords, the Two of Cups, and the Page of Swords. Now, it's really, let me get myself ready with a light here for you. For me, actually, here you go. Okay. Let the light shine. Let the light shine. This is crystal quartz. This is, I don't think it's called shadow quartz. It's tinted, slightly tinted. There's a phantom inside. Okay. Look, there are unforeseen traps this week. Unforeseen traps, and coming out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And the interesting part about it is this element of surprise. Extreme surprise. Where I say interesting, many of you may think it's not at all interesting because of this. Not all of us like surprises, but we have this this Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords does tell us that there is a cause for concern. There's a moment when we stop in our tracks. And what's interesting about this is we stop in our tracks in relation to a relationship and needing, there is what it looks like to me. The cards are suggesting that as to a relationship, there is a message that will be made, as direct message, more or less direct message, being made to you, written to you. But you stop in your tracks. Absolutely no silence, absolutely no response. This is fluorite. It's blue and green and crystal. Beautiful. Now, the attitude around us changes this week. And we have, I don't want to say we go from highs to low, but we do have every half hour a change in attitude, and it seems that's how fast it seems. And this too is going to be take a lot of energy out of us, and it happens because of the occurrences. Our change of attitude takes place as a result to adapting to what occurs to us, and it will be different for all of us, of course. I'm seeing, 45%. I'm seeing 45 and 55%. 45% of us are going to have occurrences that take place that had been planned, or are, let's say, part of them have been planned and part of them will be a change in the plans. But for the most part, they are things that you are expecting, and of course with elements of surprise. For the other part, the other group, 55%, we have a mishmash here. And not in the negative sense, mishmash, but there is a kaleidoscope of energies coming in. And the surprise is much greater. There is no set plan. You're going along your merry way. We are all going along our merry way. And then you have to see which of these two groups you belong to. We're going along our merry way. And one thing after another occurs that take place in the context of something that is not set, that we didn't plan on. And so it is much greater surprise. It's a much greater surprise for us. I have to say that we are alone. We're going it alone this week. We are on our own in our own world, regardless of who we partner with or are partnered with or going on outings together with. We are on our own. And why is this important? Because it's a very delicate time that we see exactly how we react to changing events, quickly changing events. And it's a week that will offer us the possibility to see how we act in this context, see how we act with these changing events, and get to know ourselves even more. And this is the, let's say, the challenge, the opportunity that this week affords, this full moon affords us. Like I said, I started talking about traps. There were insidious traps being laid. And I said, 45% of us had traps show up, but in a well-planned context. The other of us, 55%, have a less planned context. And that will be quite unsettling. But traps they are. And so, how can, if a session like this, a scrying session like this, is to be of any help, you might ask yourself, well, then what am I going to do? How am I, the sky's the limit. Everything can change from one second to the next. Well, that is the million-dollar question, ladies and gentlemen. And much of it has to do with how we adapt to changes on the one hand. But part of it also has to do with our general attitude in terms of where we going, where our road is leading us, and what path am I on? Do I know and acknowledge that this is a path that I have charted out for myself and I'm on it? Or am I in limbo and I'm in an area where anything can happen? So as you can tell, the reactions will be too quite different. Now, I'm not saying with this that being on a path is more positive than not. Some form of orientation, let me say that if you, for example, had a case of amnesia, this is a negate. If you had a case of amnesia and your mind became a blank slate, you had to start from scratch. That's a lot of work to do in relation to anything that occurs. Differently, it would be if you had a plan, your life, you're married, you have children, you take them to school, you have a job. That such sudden changes come up and are judged as being glitches in the system. Okay, so it's a different reaction that we will have. Now, this is one of those weeks. This is one of those weeks when the traps will be set, and so expect them. How to act when something like this well, we have I always am a harborer. I'm a person who says, trust your gut. Go with your gut's reaction to something. But I have learned in my experience, I find that not all people have a gut that they can count on. And this has to do with their mindset. It has to do with actually their mind, their mental state, and the health condition of their mind. So what can you do? My first reaction is go with your gut. And the next best thing is to interact with people and get their take on what is happening. Get their advice on what is happening. Something that looks so dire and so gloomy to you, to another person, they see the silver lining, and that's what you want to go look for when you're in doubt. Now, we did say this is a week when there will be contact. There will be contact with a person that you know, obviously, because you have contacted them before, you have had some kind of a relation before with them. And there will be contact in the form of a written message, okay, like a text message or in a social media. As to whether it will be direct, I have to take one step back. It will be slightly indirect, but what's interesting about this is that you know who that person is, you know their style, and that is the telltale sign that it's them. And typically you will not engage, you just will not engage ever again in that format. That is a given, and I believe that they know that as well. And if they don't, they will take this as teaching, that they will not engage again. Now, there are moments this week where we find and we'll feel, let's say, we'll feel that some of the activities that we're carrying out are not helping us proceed along our plan, along what we want to achieve. That will occur, and that's testing. That will test you. So be ready for that. I'm going to close this session here and come back with a second session this evening. So I'll upload this first, part 1. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was of help to you until we scry together again. Bye-bye.